So Life After NYU, Staying in the States After Graduation, is brought to you by the Life After NYU Committee, which is part of the NYU Alumni Association, in collaboration with the Office of Global Services. My name is Tatiana Lafleur, and I'm the Assistant Director of Student and Recent Alumni Programs. On behalf of the NYU Alumni team, as well as the Office of Global Services, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today. With commencement just a few weeks away, I want to congratulate the graduating class of 2021 for making it this far in your journey. You all have made major adjustments and have persevered in spite of our global circumstances. This exclusive event was created for our international graduating students in mind. If you all would take a second to mention where you're representing in the chat, we would love that because I want to see who is here with us right now. So please don't be shy, put it in the chat. I want to see where you all are from. Oh, yes, Vietnam. Okay, thank you. Yes, perfect. Chile, Colombia, Italy. Okay, Nigeria. Hi. Russia. Yes, Portugal. I always want to visit Brazil. I definitely want to visit for sure. Oh my gosh. This just speaks to the diversity. Norway. Okay. This just speaks to the diversity that is New York University. So we know that some of you may have questions. You may be seeking guidance about extending your stay in the US after graduating, or you may even want to hear about someone else's experiences. Our hope is to provide you with knowledge and resources that can possibly help you extend your stay in the US. Today, you will hear from the Office of Global Services. Then you will hear from some of our international alumni who are currently working in the US. After hearing from our international alumni, we will create 3 breakout rooms for each panelist. We have 3 international alumni here. We will have 3 breakout rooms, and you, the audience, will be able to determine which breakout room you would like to join. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Sharif Barsoom, Associate Vice President of Global Services, to join us and share some helpful resources with you. Sharif? You should be able to unmute yourself. No? Okay. So let's do that. Allow participants to unmute themselves. There you go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay, thank you, Tati. I know we've been doing Zoom for over a year and we're still working through things, but thank you, Tati, for this wonderful event. This is all the Alumni Association and incredible events that they do every year. And we're so happy at the Global Services to join the Alumni Association with this wonderful event. So my name is Sharif Barsoom. I'm the Associate VP for Global Services, also known as OGS. I hope that if you are graduating, you have already applied for your OPT. If you haven't, it's not too late. So as you know, you can apply for OPT 90 days before graduation and up to 60 days after graduation. But as you know, it's taking such a long time for immigration to get your employment authorization document, EAD card. Right now, anything between 70 days and 110 days to get employment authorization document. So you will want to do it as soon as possible if you haven't already done it. Most of our students who are graduating have already applied for OPT, and things are in the works, and hopefully they'll get their employment document as soon as possible. Okay. I want to also talk about, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to see if I can, let's see. Let me see if I can get you to the right place. True. Yeah, here we go. Can you see the Office of Global Services website? This is our main website. If you go all the way down on the website, you will see upcoming events. And upcoming events on April 14th, for example, OPT application review sessions, we can do that all on Zoom. the student visa application we're going
Sharif,
to.
sorry to interrupt. I don't believe they can see the website.
Oh, they can't.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see you.
Oh, sorry. Well, all you have to do is just go on to our main website, and all the way down, you can see upcoming events, and you'll see a list of 10 or so upcoming events that are coming up. The first one is going to be April 14th at 2 o'clock, which is the OPT application review. But then there's April 15th at 6 p.m. There's diversity and inclusion in the global workplace. There's also
What is the website again? Sorry.
I'll put it in the chat. Okay. I'll put it in the chat for you.
Yeah, better. Thanks.
Yeah, that way you can just click on it. But there's a lot of things that we also have a lawyer workshop where on the 23rd, April 23rd at 10 a.m., U.S. work options for international students. And it's a really good workshop for students who are really graduating or not graduating. But we invited a lawyer to come in and talk about OPT, academic training, J1 work options, H1, so forth. Okay. So all those are happening. Let me see, get back here. All those are happening for the rest of the semester. And I hope that we can answer some of your questions. If you have questions about working after graduation, if it's OPT or other question, make sure you talk to one of the OGS advisors. We have over 100 Zoom session appointments all the time. So schedule a time to talk to an advisor. It's never too early. It's never too late. Just make sure that you explore all the options that you have. It depends also on where you're from. If you're Canadian, for example, there's TN options, trade NAFTA options to work. Same thing with Mexico. But other options are around. And so do explore different options as well. The other thing we're trying to get is some of the lawyers from Canada, because Canada sometimes may have more work options than the United States. And they do want people who have graduated, especially if they have graduated with a master's degree or a PhD. And so if you have a master's or a PhD, maybe Canada is a good option for you. And so we'll have a lawyer presentation on that as well in the near future. Okay. Let me put in the chat our website, and you all should know already our OGS website. And then I look forward to answering more questions later on in the session. Thank you.
Hi, Sharif, we actually did have one question in the chat come in. It said, could you please address issues concerning J1 visas too?
Sure. So the J1 visa, instead of the OPT, they have academic training. And academic training for the J1 visa is up to 18 months. And then if you finish the PhD, you get another 18 months. Okay. So, but with the J1, you should have a job lined up already, unlike the OPT, the F1. Okay. So if, again, more questions about J's or F's, don't hesitate to have a session that's a 20-minute session, Zoom advising session with any of the advisors at OGS.
All right, thank you. And we also had one more question come in as you were speaking. One person said that I'm ending class in May and I graduate in September 2021. When should I apply for OPT?
So you should apply for OPT 90 days before your graduation date. Okay, so 90 days, just count 90 days back, and you can't apply for OPT earlier than the 90 days. Okay, so 90 days before graduation. So if you're graduating, you said in September, so 90 days before the date of your graduation in September.
Well, thanks. That was me. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you. And one last question I see in the chat from Sarah says, are there any updates on the potential F1 visa employment and change of status limits that were proposed in September 2020?
The good news is that there is no really updates about And for me, no news is good news. So there is no updates about any employment changes. OPT is still going to be around. It's not going to be absolved. OPT is a vital part of the United States and the immigration regulations. So right now, there is no talk at all, not like the previous administration, but this administration is actually, um, you know, pro international students, which is a good thing. And we are, I can tell you, if you also look on our website and look at advocacy or NYU advocacy, just Google NYU advocacy. It'll have a list of things that are on there on our website. All the letters that are from our government affairs folks to our Congress people, letters from NYU's President Hamilton, to various associations and various congressmen and congresswomen. And I tell you, it's unbelievable the amount of advocacy that we have been doing for really for a long time, but in particular in the last year and a half, towards and for international education as a whole, for incoming international students and for also outgoing study abroad students. So I can tell you all those letters are there, and we're part of many associations like ACE, and NAFSA and other associations that we also, every time they have a letter, we sign on to that letter as well. So do look at our advocacy page. It's very impressive.
And one more question. It
Sure.
says, can a company file EB2 visa for a student working on OPT?
They can. It depends on where you're from and how long it will take, and also, you know, just the timing of everything. So it depends on when they're filing things, and how long you still have left on your OPT. If you know, if it's 1 or 2 months, it might not work. If it's longer, it may work. But whatever it is, it's something that your company, and not every company is willing to, by the way. So you want to talk to your HR person in the company and see if they would file something for you like that. Okay. But again, there's different, you know, there's EB1 and EB2, and there's a lot of times there's different thresholds that you have to meet, you know. So please talk to your company first, especially about the green cards and the applications and how long it takes for things to happen and who's paying for it. Because you want to make sure that, you know, your company's paying for it, not you. Because sometimes the company will say, you know what, I'll sign, but you pay everything. And you don't want to do that. And, you know, I would get a company that will pay pretty much everything for your green card. If they want you, they will pay for you. Okay.
All
When
right.
international students freelance on OPT, what are the legal considerations? So there's no such thing as freelance. I don't know what you mean by freelance, but as long as they're working at least 20 hours a week or above, then they can work. So I guess if it's a freelance job that is continual work for a whole year, over 20 hours a week, yeah, I'm sure you can do that. But yeah, at the end of the day, you have to prove that you've been working, that you have a job, and that you are gainfully employed. If you ever stop employment for 90 days, then you'll be out of status. So you want to make sure that you are continually employed the entire time that you're on OPT, and not have a break of more than 90 days.
All
Again,
right.
all these questions, Tati, I'm sorry, all these questions are really good, and you should definitely take more time, not just this few minutes that I'm speaking, but more time with your OGS advisor so they can answer more if possible. And yes, you can work on campus while we work on campus while we are on OPT. If the OPT is for campus, sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what question about that question, because there's again, you have to unwrap a lot of these things. So please talk to one of the OGS advisors and they can tell you a lot more. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sharif will be sticking around for the duration of this event. He'll be popping into some of the breakout rooms just to check in if you have like any questions that your alumni within the room might need help answering, he'll be around. So now we're going to flow into the next part of our event. I would like to introduce Wendy Gao. She will be moderating our conversation with some of our international alumni and asking some questions for us to get to know them a little better. Wendy?
Thank you, Sheriff and Tatiana. So hello, I'm Wendy, and I am a graduate student employee at the Office of Global Services. I will be facilitating a quick chat with some of our international alumni who are excited to be here today. After our quick chat, each panelist will have a breakout room. You will be able to choose which breakout room you would like to go to. After our breakout rooms, we will reconvene to close out today's session. I would like to introduce to you Rishi Dean, Anshita Lawani, and Rohan Mahadev. So before we dive in, I would like to thank all three of you for being our panelists today. It really means a lot to have you here as international student, international alumni, passing on your knowledge to international graduating students. So you will have 2 minutes to answer the question. I will start with the first question. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, such as where you are from, your current position, and how you were able to extend your stay in the US. So I will start with Ruchi, and then Ruchi can call to the next panelist.
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Ruchi Din. Where am I from? I'm from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Born and raised there, came here for school. My current position, I'm a sales coordinator at a property tech company. And I was able to extend my stay in the US via OPT through my F1 student visa. Next, we've got Rohan.
Yeah, well, thanks all of you for being here. Find it a bit odd to talk about myself, especially virtually, considering that feels like I'm talking loudly into an empty box, but I guess we all are used to it right now. Anyway, so hi, I'm Rohan. I got a computer science degree from the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences here, and I currently work at Pinterest, the social media company, on an OPT, as same as Ruchi, converted it from the F1. I grew up in Mumbai, India, and before coming to the US, I was the first employee at an AI startup there. Did all sorts of work, right from like dealing with landlords to find an office space to hiring people and actually doing my actual job, which was I was the lead engineer there. And after a couple of years of that, I had the opportunity to move to a beautiful city in the south of Germany called Munich, where I lived and worked for a while. Started a personal finance startup there with some cool people, and they're doing pretty well right there. But to make my next step up, wanted to go to grad school and decided that the US and NYU was the place to be. So a few years and many assignments and deadlines down the line, here I am now. I think there was a second part of the question was what kind of inspired me to like stay here. Well, we all know US is probably like the home to the most of the pioneering work in like both the academic and industrial side of technology, which is what I'm interested in. And from what I've observed working in the startup world in like different continents, I feel like most of the groundbreaking work happens here. So wanting to be a part of this forefront of like new and cool technologies was a no-brainer for me. And yeah, Anshita, would you like to expand on that?
Sure. Thank you, Rohan. Hi. So I think the first question was where I'm from. I'm from India, and I came back in 2018, did my master's in management of technology, Cannon School of Engineering. I obviously had OPT and got the job while I was studying, so could extend my stay using OPT and F1, whatever you continue with generally. And then I am working in ADM, and currently I'm the finance manager for this whole ADM corporate headquarters right now. Finance obviously is I would say like NYC is a place where finance is, and that's where I am. So I think pretty much adding to Rohan, we get a lot of exposure and doing a lot of great work. So I just love to be here, love to be in US.
All right. Thank you, Anshita. By the way, Anshita is having issue with her camera, but she will still be able to join us and answer all the questions in the next breakout rooms. All right. So my next question is, what inspired you to extend your stay? Some of you already answered a little bit about the question, but can you just briefly talk about like what inspired you to extend your stay? I guess this time I will start with Rohan.
Yeah, sure. So just expanding a little bit on what I said before, since I'm like slightly interested in startups and was part of a few startups before I came here, to borrow a phrase from Mark Andreessen, who's like a big venture capitalist here in Silicon Valley. He said he has this phrase called a right product market fit, where essentially you see what kind of an audience wants like a proper product, like a good technological solution. So a lot of those works, which essentially is like creating this product market fit, happens here in the US, and the rest of the world tends to follow in the US's footsteps. So as I said before, it's pretty exciting to be on the forefront of some of these interesting things. And yeah, the US is more or less a no-brainer for me, being having worked in Europe and in Asia before.
Thank you, Rohan. Richie, you want to continue the conversation with the question?
Yeah, sure. So for me, what inspired me to extend my stay was just opportunity. I think I'm the only undergrad panelist here, so like, first job right out of school, that sort of stuff, standard. So that's sort of why I wanted to extend my stay. It's also a good opportunity to have because like you might as well use the OPT program. But there's like other obviously ways in which you can work in the US, which you'll need to speak with an OGS advisor on.
All right, thank you, Ruchi. How about you, Anshita?
So I would say generally OPT is meant to gain some exposure, to gain some learnings in the field you have studied. That's what OPT is generally meant for. And I think fully utilizing it is the best solution. I also feel that. Apart from that, learning, exposure, and opportunity. If you have all of these, it's best to utilize and learn from it. So that inspired me. I had the got the opportunity to work here, to stay here, and to get the obviously some kind of client exposure, some kind of new learnings with technology and finance. And I think New York is the best place to be.
All right, got it. Thank you, Anshita. I have one last question here. So on your journey to extend your stay, what were some challenges and some things that worked out for the best? I guess this time I will start with Anshita.
So I think challenges are pretty much same for all the immigrants because you have to anyway get the job for holding your visa. 90 days is the duration for everyone. It's the same thing. Luckily for me, I got a job like in my third semester, so it worked best for me. I could do early graduation and could stay in obviously easily with the job in hand. But I would suggest, apart from like, definitely my luck just worked in my favor, but apart from that, being persistent in your applications and being prepared while the opportunity comes is the best way to make that challenge into an opportunity. Right. So, thank you.
Thank you, Anshita. Ruchi, you want to continue to answer the question?
Sure. As someone who graduated last year, it was a great time to be in the job market.
You were really lucky.
Yeah, no, honestly, I hate to say it, but that's sort of a part of it as well. There are people who I've known who like a couple of my friends who are international students from NYU who were not as lucky as I am. And I know that might sound a little disheartening to hear, but essentially my situation was I had an opportunity, a job opportunity. Unfortunately, COVID ruined that. So then I had like 2 months to find another job. And I was just lucky that um, I suggest if you're able to, like LinkedIn Premium, just do it for 2 months. A lot of recruiters recruit directly from there, and that's how I was recruited for the company that I'm working for right now. And yeah, I was just lucky. And that's probably going to be the biggest challenge is to try to find work, because a lot, like the number of phone calls I've had where recruiters or recruitment specialists would call in and they'd ask me if I needed a sponsorship. And usually the phone call ends pretty soon after. So you just, it's, that's the main challenge that comes a part of it. It's going to be disheartening, but you're just going to have to keep going. And that's my best advice for y'all.
Thank you, Ruchi. How about you, Rohan?
Yeah, very well put by Ruchi. I think I would echo most of the points. Like she said, even I graduated last year and in the job market in the same boat as her. But as she said, there is quite a bit of luck that needs to go in your favor. As she said, I know quite a few folks from my batch who weren't lucky enough to get that right connection at the right time so that they could get that 2-3 interviews converted into a job offer. Sometimes they go on for like 10-20 interviews with the hope of maybe they'll send out a job offer, but it doesn't come. So persistence is very important. Not being disheartened by some failures is important. And finally, I guess we all are on the same boat with COVID and everything. Just having the self-belief that since you guys are graduating from a pretty good school like NYU and you have the skills that it takes that to get into like most jobs that not just New York but the US has to offer. Just keep on believing that you can, if one job offer doesn't go through, you can apply to the next and apply to the next. So keep applying, keep your focus into what you want to do, and don't necessarily think about this is what I am and I should only work on these kind of jobs. Of course, there are restrictions around what your job can be like. You can't just diverge too much from your major, but keep an eye open for different opportunities. Speak with OGS about whether can I work with this thing, and in the end it should all work out, hopefully.
Thank you, Rohan. That was a great advice. We got a question from the chat. Sarah is asking, do you plan on applying for an H-1B visa after your OPT expires, considering how hesitant US employers are to hire international students? Anshita, you want to take this question?
Yeah, sure. So luckily I have like my company applied last year. So I graduated December 2019, and my company applied in February 2020. I got selected, so I'm already on H-1B. That's how most of the companies do. You, I think, have 3 chances after you graduate for the lottery, and hopefully it works out mostly for everyone. Should be good for everyone here also.
All right, thank you, Ashita. How about you, Ruchi? Are you planning applying H-1B visa?
That's a good question. I'm asking myself the same one at the moment. So I've got the benefit of being able to apply for a STEM extension, which I'm currently dealing with right now. Sharif will be happy that I said that. But basically, I don't know. And I think that's a question, especially for the undergrad folks. Like, you guys got to ask yourself that question. Like, where do you see yourself and what do you see yourself doing? If the US is your be all end all, then that's something that you're going to need to be upfront with your employers about, or find an employer that is able to sponsor you. For me, I'm sort of like unsure. So I don't have a question. I don't have a direct answer to that. All I'm saying is like, I'm definitely going to be using all of my STEM OPT until I find my next gig. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Ruchi. How about you, Rohan?
Yeah, I'll try to address the last part of the question where they were asking about the hesitancy around US employers wanting to hire international students. At least from most of the places I've had conversations with, not just the HR folks, but even product managers and technical managers who handle some of these hiring. It's very rare when you work in a pretty decent company that they would think too much about choosing US like international versus a US based employee. At the end of the day, the only thing that's going to matter is what value you are going to bring into the company. If the employer, if the HR person is, or the manager is confident that you can deliver what they want, they tend not to worry about the fact that you are an international student. I've been lucky enough to work in a decent company where there are several options apart from the H1B, where there are options to maybe move to a different country. As Sharif mentioned at the beginning, there are good options in Canada, different parts of the world. So just the hesitancy, I guess that we all have the insecurity around being from outside of the country, and maybe we might find it difficult to find a job here, but focus on your skills, make sure that you are one of the best, if not the best, in what you're doing, and all of these things should fall in place.
Thank you, Rohan. And thank you, Richie and Anshita, for the questions. We will now move on to our breakout sessions. For the next 15 minutes, you will be able to join one of 3 breakout rooms. There will be one room for each panelist. Students, you will be able to ask questions, and panelists, we ask that you share some advice with international students. Remember that we are meeting back here in the main room before we close out our session.
Thank you so much, Wendy. So I will now end the recording because we cannot record breakout sessions. So let me do that right now.